Uh, from looking at the resume and the list of things you, maybe I can ask you this way. When did you first become interested in the ministry? When did you decide that was something you wanted to pursue professionally?
Well, I grew up as a Lutheran pastor's kid, and so church life and being at church for worship and Sunday school and youth group was always a positive experience for me. So I think my call to ministry came at a very young age. And then through high school and college, that call was reinforced. I came up to Lenoir-Rhyne to go to college. I grew up in Florida, but I came up to Lenoir-Rhyne in 1989 and was involved in a variety of different things. And I was a summer camp counselor at Camp Lutheridge up near Asheville. And that's really where I think God grabbed a hold of my heart, and that's where I really felt the strongest call to go on to seminary.
Was there some particular experience you had at that camp, or was it just in kind of a more general thing there?
Yeah, that's a good question, and a pretty common question. In our tradition, Martin Luther is a significant theologian and teacher, and he had what we call a lightning bolt experience. He was in a thunderstorm that really, changed his life. But for me, it was more like water on a stone, or sometimes I call it a string of pearls, that I've had lots of spiritual experiences throughout my life, that all of those small experiences kind of reinforced that call that led me into the ministry.
Okay. Was there ever a point when you were younger that you considered any other path, any other profession, any other career?
Wow. So briefly, not too seriously, when I was at Lenoir-Rhyne, I was a communication major instead of a religious studies major. And so working in the auditorium, and I did a lot with playmakers and TV production, there was a small part of me that wondered whether I should go into acting, but I didn't pursue that because that meant I couldn't work at the summer camp that I loved and I enjoyed, and so that's the only thing that may have been a different pursuit. But majoring in communication and having some of that training as an actor, I think has enhanced my ministry as a pastor instead.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there are aspects of performance to being a pastor. You're speaking in front of a group of people.
Right.
You're communicating.
Speaking. Right. Yeah.
And you went to after Lenoir-Rhyne, you went to South Carolina, got your degree in divinity, and I guess became ordained, and then started your ministry.
Yeah. So it was kind of a straight path from high school to a Lutheran college, from a Lutheran college to the Lutheran Seminary in Columbia, South Carolina, and then from there I went into my first parish. I was a solo pastor in Gainesville, Florida, and since I grew up in Florida, the bishop in Florida knew me and he knew my gifts, and so he helped me find a church that was a good fit for about 7.5 years.
Then I believe it was a few years after that you joined, around 2000 or so, you joined the Air Force Reserve, right?
Exactly. So about 3 years into my first parish, my wife and I had 2 children, and we prayed and decided together, it was mostly my wife's decision, to stay home with the children to really enhance their early childhood development. But that meant we were trying to get by financially just with one, small church pastor's income. And my dad was also a reserve Air Force chaplain, and he had mentioned it several times, but I never took it seriously because I was trying to be different from my dad, try to follow my own path. But there was an opportunity, and my congregation was very supportive, and so around 1999 or 2000, I felt that call to go into the chaplaincy, and that's when my ministry in the reserves began.
So it was part of